Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful man in the world. He commanded the Roman Empire at its peak, armies, provinces, the fate of millions. He had every comfort and distraction that the ancient world could offer, and every single morning, before he did anything else, he sat down and wrote. Not orders, not strategy, not letters to generals or senators. He wrote questions to himself. Things like, what is it that you fear today? What unnecessary suffering are you creating for yourself? Where are you failing to live by your own values? He didn't do this once or occasionally. He did it every morning for years. The pages became what we now call the Meditations, one of the most important books ever written. A private journal never meant to be published. What he was practicing had a name, even then. The Stoics called it the morning examination. Modern neuroscience calls it something else, but the effect is the same. It is the single most powerful cognitive practice for building a life that is actually under your control, and almost nobody does it. In the next few minutes, I want to show you exactly what this practice is, why it works at the level of brain chemistry, and how to do it in less than 10 minutes a day in a way that will compound quietly into one of the most significant changes you ever make. The Stoic morning practice had two parts. The first was anticipation. Before the day began, they would mentally rehearse what was coming, not with dread, but with clarity. What challenges might arise? What moments would require patience, or courage, or restraint? What opportunities might they miss if they weren't paying attention? This wasn't anxiety, it was preparation. There's a profound difference between worrying about what might happen and deliberately considering it so you can respond rather than react. The second part was orientation. They would remind themselves of what they actually valued, not what the world was telling them to want that day, not the news, not other people's opinions, not the latest distraction, but what they had decided upon reflection mattered. Marcus Aurelius wrote things like, confine yourself to the present, and you have power over your mind, not outside events. He wasn't writing these things because they came naturally to him. He was writing them because they didn't, because he needed to remind himself every single morning of the person he had decided to be, before the world had a chance to pull him in a different direction. That's the practice. Deliberate self-examination before engagement with the world. Here's the neuroscience. Your brain has a default mode. When you wake up and move immediately into the day, check your phone, scroll the news, respond to messages, you activate what researchers call reactive cognition. You're responding to external stimuli. Someone else is setting the agenda for your mind. The morning examination does something fundamentally different. It activates what neuroscientists call the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for deliberate thought, values-based decision making, and long-term planning. And here's the key finding. Whichever cognitive mode you activate first in the morning tends to dominate the rest of the day. If you start reactive, you stay reactive. You spend the day responding to what's in front of you rather than what matters to you. If you start deliberate, if you spend even 8 or 10 minutes in intentional reflection before the world gets to you, you carry that orientation forward. The research on this is consistent. People who practice morning reflection make more values, align decisions throughout the day, experience less stress, and report higher levels of what psychologists call psychological coherence, the sense that your life is actually moving in a direction you chose. Marcus Aurelius understood this intuitively. Modern neuroscience has confirmed it with brain imaging. The most powerful thing you can do in the morning is think deliberately, privately, honestly, before you do anything else. 10 minutes, that's all this requires. Not a long, elaborate journaling practice, not a complex ritual. 10 minutes of honest writing before you open your phone. 3 prompts, the same three every morning. First, what am I carrying into today that I don't need? This could be a resentment, an anxiety, a judgment about someone, an unnecessary expectation. Name it. Writing it down doesn't amplify it, it externalizes it. It moves it from a vague weight in your chest to a specific thing on a page that you can examine. Often, just naming it dissolves most of its power. Second, what would the person I'm becoming do today? Not what do you feel like doing, not what's convenient. What would the fully realized version of you, the person you've decided to become, do with this specific day? You're not setting goals, you're rehearsing identity. You're reminding your brain of its own values before the noise starts. Third, what is one thing that, if I do it well today, will matter? Not a to do list. One thing, the most important thing, the thing that, if everything else falls apart but this gets done, the day has meaning. That's it. Those 3 prompts, 10 minutes every morning. Marcus Aurelius didn't have a productivity app or a habit tracker or a morning routine podcast. He had a blank page and the discipline to show up to it. The page still works. There's a passage in Meditations that has stayed with me. He writes, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are this way because they cannot tell good from evil. But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and I have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own. He wrote this as a Roman emperor, a man who could have any reaction to the world he wanted. He chose preparation. He chose orientation every single morning, not because it was natural, because he understood that the mind, left to its own devices, drifts. And the only antidote to drift is deliberate return. Daily, consistent, patient. You have 10 minutes. Use them before the world does. Tonight, before you sleep, set out a notebook and a pen. Tomorrow morning, before you open your phone, write just those 3 questions. 10 minutes, do it once, then notice what the rest of the day feels like. In the next video, we're going deeper into the Stoic toolkit, something Marcus Aurelius practiced alongside this that most people have never heard of, and that changes the way you see almost every obstacle in your life. I'll see you there.